How many times have you made a perfect looking turkey or chicken only to have it turn out tasting like this? Stay tuned and I'll show you how giving your poultry a spa day will make you seem like a magician in the kitchen. That magic is called a brine, a salty solution that makes lean meat and poultry moist and flavorful. Okay, it's not really magic, it's actually science. Osmosis, to be exact, which means equilibrium. Simply put, the salt pulls moisture out of the meat, then those juices mix with the brine. But because the cells of the meat want to be equal with their surroundings, thus equilibrium, they pull the brine back into the meat and the salt locks in the moisture. Then, voila, just like magic, you've got moist and flavorful meat. So, now you think you're ready to make a brine. Wait a minute, we have to talk about salt. The best type of salt is one that will dissolve in cold water very quickly. This coarse sea salt is expensive, and it's much too coarse to dissolve well. Kosher salt usually comes in large flakes and doesn't dissolve that fast either. So, what do I use? I prefer pickling or canning salt. See how fine the texture is? This will dissolve really fast. Now we're ready to brine. Start with 1 gallon of water, 1 cup of salt, and 1 cup of sugar. After a few minutes of occasional stirring, your brine will be clear and ready to use. You can brine right in the container or use a zip top bag. Just make sure you use a bowl in case you spring a leak. Either way, make sure you completely submerge the meat, because you know, brine won't brine what brine don't touch. Set a timer and put the meat in the fridge. This brine is very versatile for all sizes of meats. Just choose your container. For just a few pieces of chicken, I make half a batch. For pork butt, whole chickens, or pork loins, I make a whole batch. And for a turkey, I make a double batch. You can even make a quarter of a batch for things like chicken wings and cutlets. Before you brine, you need to consider 2 things. First, brine time, how long your piece of meat will take to brine. And the second is the cooking method. Because if you want really crispy skin, you're going to have to plan ahead. Since it soaked up so much moisture, you need to have time to let the skin dry out. Remove it from the brine, wipe it off, and put it in a plate or container. Now put it back in the refrigerator uncovered for a few hours or even overnight. That'll dry the skin out. Here are some brining tips that I learned the hard way. Don't use salty seasonings on brined meats, and if it says solution added, don't brine it as long. Solution is just salty water. Do brine a bunch and freeze it. Well, you've learned the science of brining and the method in which to do it. Oh, and don't worry about the sugar. It doesn't make it sweet. It just balances out the salt. But most importantly, you've learned the culinary benefits of brining. So you will never have to serve this again. See you next time on Kimberly in the Kitchen.